Hello, hello, hello. Y'all like this? I feel real fancy
Different
today.
setup.
I feel real fancy. I ain't holding no mic.
A little something different.
All right now. Welcome to the courthouse. I am your girl, Courtney Nicole, and welcome to the podcast where God is the judge and the jury, and we have the conversations that the enemy don't want us to talk about. In the courtroom today, we have the Miss Jada Love.
Hey everybody, it's great to be sitting in the courthouse with the one and only Courtney. Thank you for having me, girl. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
I am great.
Good.
I am great. Very excited. Yeah, I just want y'all to know this is just a taste of what y'all finna see for season 2. Because
Buckle up, babe.
we finna have the official. We finna be real official next season. I'm really excited. But we are here today to tackle yet another topic. Because we're healing on purpose with purpose.
Right.
And I am on a mission to not only making sure that I heal holistically, but help you too on your journey. And today, on the stand,
What's on the docket?
we're dealing with soul ties.
Here for it.
Soul ties. Now,
It's about to get real.
I found this when I looked up the term soul ties on the internet. And I thought it was very good. And I wanted to read it
Okay.
and just kind of get your thoughts and kind of expand on that and just be led by the Holy Spirit with our conversation. So it says, in simple terms, soul ties mean a deep soul connection established between two people. This intense connection transcends your physical body and you feel deeply connected in your soul.
Mm-hmm.
A soul tie commonly forms once you have sex with the person, according to sex therapist DeAndrea Blaylock Johnson. A soul tie can also be described as joining two souls after an intense emotional bond is established between them. This process is often described as spiritual and tends to be stronger, overwhelming, and more intense than other soul connections. A soul tie allows other people to manipulate
Careful.
and influence your life, even if they're unaware of it. They are also responsible for sabotaging future relationships. That was a lot to unpack.
Yeah, I already know where I want to go.
What do you think about that?
I agree. I think that's a good definition. That's my first time hearing it a little more in depth. Normally when I hear it, it's like, oh, you just have sex with the person and now you're like connected and trying to heal from the person.
Mm-hmm.
The part that I really agree with, I never thought of it as a soul tie could lead to manipulation or even the person just having an effect on you without them being aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
That I actually think that's probably the biggest part of a soul tie, and shows how deep the tie is or was, because now they don't know. Well, sexually, they may know that you guys are tied, but outside of that, the effects that the person has on you that they're unaware of, that's deeper than the physical connection. But yeah, I think that's a good definition. It's a lot of points that we can touch on with that, outside of the physical connection, because I feel like it's more emotional and mental than it is physical, and sometimes the physical act leads to the, I guess you could say, repercussions, but the long-term effects that it has on the other aspects of your life too.
Oh yeah, definitely. And one of the things she said in the first paragraph is like, essentially most have been in, contracted through the physical act of sex.
Mm-hmm.
But it also talked about how it can come from a strong emotional bond too.
Yeah.
So like you can develop a soul tie with somebody that you haven't even had sex with. And those are described as more spiritual. And I have, yeah,
Which do you think
I've
is
had-
stronger?
the spiritual one for sure.
Okay.
I've had both. I've
Mhm.
had a soul tie from the physical aspect of it, but then I've also recently had to hear from a spiritual soul tie, and the spiritual soul tie was much harder for me to overcome than the physical.
Question: Can you explain a little bit of the spiritual? Because I'm normally used to soul ties being associated with the physical aspect of it. So I don't know, like when I hear like maybe like a spiritual soul tie, it's not necessarily like a soulmate, but that's what I hear before I hear like soul tie, when you're connected with somebody that strongly spiritually, whether
So,
it be
like,
platonic or romantic.
to be connected with somebody spiritually is like, it's like, for me, the best way I can describe it is like meeting someone in the spirit.
Okay.
Like, you're connected to their spirit self.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like, the person that, in a previous relationship, the person that I had a spiritual soul tie with, it wasn't that the sex was just, like, as far as, like, the skill level, I'm going to put it that way. The skill level did not top a skill level that I've had in the past.
Gotcha.
It was the connection.
Okay.
I felt like I was in a different realm during the exchange.
Spiritually or
Yes.
emotionally?
Spiritually.
Okay.
Like, it felt like an outer body experience.
Okay, there we go. Okay, gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To the point of when I wasn't around that person, I could still feel that person spiritually.
Okay, there we go.
And since I have, like, me and, like, we're not involved with each other anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But to the aspect of, even after we stop, like, messing with each other, God revealed things to me in my dreams
About the
that
person? Like, why you should stop engaging with this person?
Not even that, about stuff that they were doing
Oh, okay.
that, or was going to do
Mm-hmm.
before I even, like, without me even talking to them.
To where it would have had an effect on you.
Mm-hmm. And he showed me things, I think, to warn me,
Mm-hmm.
to help me deal with what I knew what was about, like, to help me deal with what was about to happen.
And not getting in deeper to where it would have hurt more.
Yes, because he knew the connection that was there.
Got you. Okay. That's good insight. I've just never heard, or I have heard, but not in the, like, a spiritual connection with someone didn't correlate with soul tie as much as people have a physical connection correlate with soul tie.
Yeah. And it had a deeper effect on me too, because it's like one thing to be attracted to somebody mentally, emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
but like to be like, but for my spirit to be attracted to you.
Mm-hmm. It's like it seems like it's like unexplainable.
Yeah, it's like it's really something. It's hard to put language on,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like it's so different to the aspect of, I mean, like, even with my previous marriage, there was a physical soul tie. But it was harder to get over and to heal from, ironically, the spiritual soul tie than it was to a man that I married
Interesting.
that I had a physical soul tie.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And that was the mind-blowing part for me. But that kind of leads me into why we even having this conversation. Like, I was asking myself, like, man, why is this so much harder to deal with than the person I had, like, I was married to,
yeah.
and I don't know this person, or haven't known this person as long as I've known, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, why But it kind of goes back to what I've learned basically from both of them is like, what happens when you're actually having sex?
The exchange.
Like, I don't think people, what I've come to realize when it comes to sex is that it actually is more spiritual than it is physical. And the reason why I say that is because what both of them have in common is the tie, is the hold that it puts on you. For an example, I knew my situation that I was in was toxic, unhealthy. But I think we all been there when we don't have that person.
You don't care.
That knows how to meet every need when it comes to that physical aspect. They could be hit you upside the head, but they say that one thing, they touch that one area. You get what I'm saying? Like, they know how to reel you in. Next thing you know, you satisfied in that area, but you look in the mirror, you got a black eye.
Yeah.
That people stay in those type of relationships because of the soul tie. And
my question is coming. My curiosity is rising because I'm trying to comprehend the difference of you have a spiritual soul tie and you have a soul tie that where the foundation is spiritual, and then you have another one where the foundation is physical. But after both have taken place, whether it be because of sex or not, both aspects, like, it's so intertwined to where I'm trying to see the difference. Like, saying that it was harder for you to get over the spiritual soul tie in a sense, but when you connected with your husband at the time, would you say that there was more of a spiritual essence with the other person than with your husband? You see what I'm saying? Like, it overlaps so much to where I'm trying to
I'm finna break down
to find the separation.
Okay, think about it as your body, right? Let's just say you have strings attached to you. Okay, if I have 5 strings attached to me and 3 of those strings is tied to something, all right, there's going to be more resistance from 3 strings being tied versus 1. Right. So usually I know that's not the case for all, but usually by the time you reach the physical act of having sex, you have connected with that person on a mental and emotional level.
The order. There we go.
Okay?
I got you.
So let's just say the 5 strings. No, let's say 4 strings. The 4 strings are a mental connection. One of the strings is a mental connection. Another string is emotional connection. Another string is a physical connection. All right? And then the last string would be the spiritual connection. Which one's gonna have more resistance? If all 4 of my strings are tied, or if 3 of them or 2 of them are tied? Because some people it's just the physical.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like the one night stand. Boom, boom, boom. You know, like, it's no.
Those are some special cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or you have somebody that you got, you've been dealing with, so you attracted to them mentally and emotionally, and you got the physical aspect. But when you connect with somebody on a spiritual level, for me, just like with my ex-husband, he didn't understand my the spiritual part of me. So really, in order to be with him, I had to shrink myself spiritually.
Got you. One thing that I feel like I'm hearing is each of those aspects is a string, but they don't hold the same weight.
Yes.
But when when done out of order, the weight of each can be confused. So, which is now it's registering easier in my head as to why one was stronger than the other for you. Okay. Just wanted to point that out.
It's more so of the resistance, because just like you were saying, the strength of the string, the spiritual string
It's the
is more
strongest.
thick.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the strongest string out of all of them.
Mhm.
So even if you're connected to that part alone, your spiritual self,
It takes up for the other ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to have the physical attraction there, the mental attraction there, the emotional attraction there, and
And the spiritual. Yeah.
it's like a whole
big
nother
pull.
level of that's
Yeah.
a big pull. So to cut that off, to deal with that, to pull away from that,
Like getting popped with a rubber band.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's tough. But I will say, after that situationship that I had the spiritual connection with, that's when I made the decision to be celibate.
Seeing the
Effects.
and the intensity.
And
how
that's when I
special it is.
really understood why God designed sex the way that He did.
Yeah. And in the order.
And in the order. I watched it was like a sit down that Pastor Madhu had with his wife on YouTube. I can't think of the actual name of the episode. If I find it, I'll link it in the description of this video. But he talks about how, really the physical, emotional, and mental attraction is really just a cherry on top.
Yeah.
When it comes to how God has designed sex. It's more spiritual than anything. They use like some boxes of kind of demonstrate it, but a really good episode. But I mean, really good, demonstration.
Yeah.
But it broke it down in the aspect of, like I said, how for me I received a revelation of how God designed sex and why He designed sex the way that He did. Number one, how can I describe it? Like, as much as sex is a taboo topic, God created sex.
Yeah.
And it feels good for a reason.
And He know that just as much as we do. He made us.
Yes, in the Bible when it says, when it talks about marriage, it's really talking about sex.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And so literally everybody that you've had sex with, whether you want to accept it or not, you've married
to
them.
him.
Okay? And so, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying about, people in them toxic relationships or whatever. But because that area of their life is so, they, on cloud nine.
Yeah.
They stay.
And you disregard.
And the reason why it's like that because God created sex to be the bonding agent between the husband and the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, that's why you can be upset with somebody. Like I said, the relationship could be completely toxic, but this person do this one thing, everything just going out the window.
Cause you to put your blinders on,
Mm-hmm.
and to have a completely different perspective on that person.
And think about how many excuses we make for people.
Too many.
Mm-hmm.
Too many.
And you stay and make excuses for them because of the connection that you made with them in that area.
Or the connection you think you made with them.
Or the connection you think you made.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I thought about that too was, the part when I was reading that definition about how it sabotages future relationships. I definitely want to tackle that too. Because also what happens is, sometimes we don't break the soul tie. And we get in another relationship with the soul tie still attached.
Yeah. And I think it's going to come down to one thing. Either you're going to break the soul tie or the soul tie going to break you. And I think when it ends up breaking you, you see how it affects the other relationships that you have.
Please say that. Run that back.
Either you're going to break the soul tie or the soul tie is going to break you. And me and Pastor were talking about this on our episode. I think, and I keep going back to order because that's the best way I know how to explain it. God gave us a particular order to do things in. That way, we can have the right lens to see that through. So when you're doing it out of order, and when you think that just simply having a sexual relationship with somebody, and this is, I'm speaking from the case of like wanting a relationship, not where it's like casual or anything like that. I'm talking about you want a healthy, godly relationship. Doing that out of order distorts that lens. So now you're being blinded by sometimes what you even think is love, and making excuses instead of having the physical attraction, instead of having that lens kind of be on the back burner and being able to see that person for who they actually are, to whereas if they do something that may hurt you or something that offends you, you're seeing it from the lens of, oh, but they love me. They could be treating you like trash because their character is bad. But because their character is good in the bedroom, you make an excuse for how they're actually treating you. And so your lens gets distorted. You start seeing it from a broken perspective. And so now when the soul tie breaks in the sense of, okay, now y'all aren't physically together anymore, you still have that broken lens. So you're seeing these other relationships through the same way. So when somebody tries to come that has a healthy lens and they want to show you healthy love, you can't see it. Not because it's not that, but because of how you're viewing it and what you're looking at it through.
You don't even know how to you handle it.
I got you. So diffraction, if my memory serves me, is it's kind of that, but I'm saying it to make a point. There's this thing where if you look in the water and you see like a pencil in the water. Can you Google diffraction on your phone for me so I can make sure I'm not getting it right? But when you touch it, it's off from what you actually see.
So there's something called refraction. I teach this. It has something to do with
science, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
4th grade science. It has something to do with light and how light travels.
That's it. Refraction. Yeah.
You have reflection, right? And then you have refraction. Sis, that's so good. I'm finna break it down to you. With reflection, right? The light bounces back off of it, right? So like, say if my hand is a mirror, right? The reflection is when light bounces off and it goes back to you. Okay? Refraction is basically where there is a layer or something obstructing the light from being able to travel through. Basically, when the light is traveling, it is interrupted by a substance. That substance is the water. So when you put a pencil, like if you have a clear glass, right? And you put water in the glass, and you put a pencil, in that glass of water, the pencil will appear broken. However, it's a whole pencil. There's nothing wrong with it. But the reason why it appears that way is because refraction, the light of travel is interrupted.
Because your angle is broken.
Yes.
A pencil dipped in the water at an angle appears bent or broken due to the refraction of the light at the air-water surface. All of that to say, thank you, Derico. All of that to say, it's not that the healthy relationship isn't healthy. Your lens is broken. And so when you try to touch something healthy, it's not that, the fact of the matter is it's a healthy relationship. But to me, it's not, because I'm broken.
And you know the beauty in that too is when you do it God's way.
Oh, and brokenness leads to offense being taken. So when that person tries to love you right, you see it as a hit against you, when in all actuality, it's something that's better for you.
I know that's gonna sound real cliche, but God's way is always better than your way.
Yeah.
God's way is a way, if we using reflection and refraction, God's way, you're going to get a reflection of you. You're going to be equally yoked. Your light, my light bounces off you, or my light can bounce off the other person, which bounce back to me. We complement each other. We're equally yoked. However, when I do it my way and you do it out of order,
things get bent up.
Things become broken.
And the light, hear me, the light, his light gets bent. Yeah.
And our spiritual selves is what carries our.
It's really that deep.
It's really that deep.
It's really that
our
deep.
spiritual selves is our light.
It's really that deep. Yeah.
Your spiritual self is your light. That some of our lights real dim.
It's really that deep. I love it when
Visuals
science
coming together. Yeah.
That's another episode, but yeah. Well, yeah, it's not that it's not healthy. You're not healthy.
The question that's in my mind is,
say how you feel it. I'll try to pick up what you put down.
how long are you gonna keep looking through your broken lens?
As long as you want to. And I say that in the sense of just that, as long as you want to. If you want to be oblivious to the fact of, I want a healthy relationship, but you're operating like you'll just take anything, then you just gonna get anything.
And realizing there's only one way to fix a broken lens. You got to get some new ones.
Yeah. But still, that comes from, do you want to do it? And I don't even think it's a time issue. It's a you issue. Like, do you want a healthy relationship? Do you want to heal? Because you can say you want these things, but if you're not moving toward them, then no amount of time really, I don't want to say no amount of time matters, but it comes down to what you're willing to do.
Because the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. The reason why I knew I had to be celibate is because I cannot keep doing relationships in this order thinking I'm going to get a different result of a man.
Yeah.
Because what was happening was I was getting the same kind of man with a different face, because I was looking through a broken lens, and what I thought looked good was not good for me.
Yeah.
It was not good for me. So I had to make a decision. Either I'm going to keep looking through these broken lenses, or I'm going to allow God.
Let God write your prescription.
I'm going to let God write my prescription. That's good.
Come on in my room.
Jesus is my doctor.
That's true. That is so true.
That's what the old folks were talking about. Right.
Yeah, they know what they were talking about.
All of my prescription.
They know it.
Gives me all
careful.
my medicine. But yeah, like, I had to let God write my prescription when it came to relationships. And I talked about that in my previous episode in relationship trauma. I had to be honest with myself, and I was still trying to control my relationships. Mm-hmm. I was still trying to do relationships the way I wanted to do it, instead of doing relationships God's way.
Yeah, you got to ask yourself, what part did you play in it?
Yeah, because I know what I've been praying for. I know what I want. And I told God, I said, God, I want a marriage that exemplifies you, that glorifies you. But one of the things that God told me was, you can't have a kingdom marriage and not date in a kingdom way.
Yeah. You
can't plant an apple seed and expect the orange tree.
Yeah.
That's not how it happens. Now, I'm not saying that there are not or have not been successful love stories of people who had sex before they got married. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that doing that is going to come with its own set of issues.
Yeah.
If you both don't approach it if you don't understand that aspect of your relationship in a spiritual way.
And you have to, like, I think the biggest thing, and this isn't just for like relationships, but you can't act in a way that's inconsistent with what you're praying for. Like, if I'm praying for something and I'm acting in a way that's totally different, that's me kind of being irresponsible with what I'm praying for.
Yeah.
And honestly, a little foolish.
One of the things God told me is, you got to stop, and I've said this before, we got to stop getting mad at God for the consequences of our poor stewardship.
Yeah.
I have been handling relationships, dating, that part of my life poorly. I have not been stewarding my relationships properly, which is why I haven't been able to be successful in that area of relationships, because I haven't. And then what I would do is I will see the person, ooh, because of course, you know, there initially, sometimes, most of the time, there is a physical attraction first, right? But then, like, what I would do, I would consult God, but that's after the fact. I already been involved with them.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I consult God just so that way, if it goes wrong, I can say I talked to him about it. Like there, and
That's the real truth.
And y'all can be holier than thou. Sometimes I've consulted God,
Just
knowing what I'm gonna do. Like I've already got my mind made up, but I'm praying just for the sake of me
being able to say I did it.
And that shows later down the line when you over there hurt. Like, God, I know I want this, but I'm gonna do this anyway.
Yeah. Just hard headed.
Yeah.
Like
Stubborn,
my granddaddy
foolish.
used to say, a hard head make a soft.
A soft behind.
But he didn't use
But
the word behind.
Yeah, you know how that would go. You know how that would go.
He did not use the word behind. But and now we over here stuck hurt. And so I realized that, like, okay, Courtney, we're healing on purpose.
With purpose.
We can't keep doing this. We can't keep doing this. I had to change. But what I would tell you is, like, since I've done that, God has revealed so many things to me. Like, the more I surrender to God, the more God reveals.
That's good.
The more I give God every aspect of me. Because there are some things that I have consistently given God. But there are other areas of my life where I haven't. Relationships was one of those things. My dating life was one of those things. But my God is a God of prosperity.
And restoration.
Restoration, redemption, abundance. So I almost feel like it's safe to say whatever area of your life in which you're not producing fruit is an area of your life that you're controlling, not God.
I like that. I'm gonna need you to say that one again.
Whatever part of your life, whatever area of your life in which you are not producing fruit is an area of your life that you're still trying to control.
That's an area for you to examine. Because the fruit not producing, the tree isn't producing fruit because the tree doesn't have any fruit. What's your environment? Where are you? What are you rooted in?
What are you rooted in? One of the things it's in Matthew, but it talks about seeds and how seeds are planted on
fertile ground.
One of the biggest revelations God gave me when he was dealing with me about my dating and stuff is that I've been seed dating. I've been dating other seeds.
You don't even see your own potential. That goes back to the broken lens too.
And if I'm still a seed, that means I'm not planted. Because a seed that is planted on fertile ground is going to produce fruit. It's going to produce fruit. So if a relationships is an area of my life where I'm not producing fruit, I'm not planted. But that also lets me know that when you plant a seed for a certain season of my life, I'm gonna have to be single and isolated.
Yeah.
Because when you plant a seed, before it sprouts, it's in a hidden place. It's isolated. That's where God really does the healing work. So what happens is when you seed date, you haven't allowed God to do the healing work that he needs to do on you. So then you attract other seeds. And now your relationship toxic all over the place. No communication. It's not producing anything. Because you haven't given yourself time to grow, to cultivate, to be rooted in God.
That's good.
And how I got that too, even bringing that back to, you know how everybody talking about Ruth and Boaz. Our relationship goes. But one thing that it talks about is that Boaz seen Ruth before he even met her. When you allow yourself to be planted, when you allow God to do the healing work in you, and you allow yourself to be rooted and planted in God, you won't have to find him. He's going to see you.
You give him room to position you.
He's going to see you. He's going to hear of you. He's going to hear of your good works. He's going to hear of how you've been rooting yourself, how you've been grounding yourself, how you've been allowing God to work in you and through you. And he's going to come to you. That's why it says he who finds a wife. A lot of us women, myself included, has done it. I've been finding.
And then say he who find a seed.
He was a wife already when he met you. When he met you, you was already a wife. You don't become a wife after the fact. But you can only be a wife when you allow yourself to become a wife and have wife qualities, producing wife fruit.
Mm-hmm.
When you allow yourself to be rooted and grounded in God.
Actual factual.
Soul ties. You got to get rid of them.
Soul ties have you soul tired.
Soul ties will have your soul tied.
Yeah, man. That way we get winded.
So my question is, how you do it? How you break it? My experience is I had to literally detach myself from everything that attached me to them.
Yeah. I think I'm going to tackle it from the perspective of wanting to and not wanting to. So if you have a soul tie and you know you want better, but you're not necessarily trying to hear the do better part, it's probably going to come down to you getting broken.
Even more.
Just being honest. Mm-hmm. Because both paths end up leading to you having to put a strategy in place, do some things, and operate in a different way to where you're disconnecting and detaching from the person. But the starting point is up to you. So if you, like I said, want better but don't want to do better, you're probably gonna get hurt far worse than what you could have if you would have just taken the initiative. Mm-hmm. But if you're saying, hey, I want better and I know I need to do better, I probably need to take the initiative and be intentional in ending this soul tie. That's the biggest step. You'll still be hurt, but it'll be less painful. And then you can take those action steps. But yeah, I just, when it comes to soul ties and wanting to break it, I think you have to realize it's going to come with hurt either way. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm just being honest. Yeah. You've done all of that work to get this tied up. So when each of those strings are being popped, they're going to pop you. And mm-hmm. that's going to hurt. Mm-hmm. It's going to leave a bruise. It's going to leave a battle scar. It's going to leave a mark. But the healing process that takes place within that and the things you do to position yourself to be in a better place to where not only to where you don't get popped as hard, but to where when the person that does come along, y'all strings mend together, it helps that process. If that
and it
makes
me
sense.
Think about not easily broken, a 3-string cord.
Mm-hmm.
Having God in the center, that's the kind of tie you want to have.
Yeah.
But you can only have God in the center, and you can only have that 3-string cord if you do it through God's design.
Yeah. And I think the biggest, if you're already in a soul tie, the biggest thing is just going to come down to choice. I even say that as it relates to your relationship with God, it's going to come down to choice because it's going to require you to choose him or the person you're tied to.
Yeah.
It's a choice. Because
the Bible also talks about when you marry someone that's unequally yoked and you're tied to them, they become your idol instead of God.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're constantly trying to please them instead of please God.
Yeah. Which
in turn becomes your idol because you want to be with the person so bad or you want the work so much.
Nothing else matters.
Yeah. And they unconsciously become your idol. And by the time you realize that you in so deep, you feel what I'm saying? So it goes back to like God's way better. You got to do His way. And I knew I had to be real with myself, Courtney. If you want your relationships to be different, you gonna have to date different.
Yeah, I got a thing on my door that says want better, want better, want different, do better, be different.
Yeah. Want better, want different.
That's what you got to do.
Do better, be different. Yeah. That's good. You know we always got to leave with a verdict. What verdict will you give to people on Soul Ties?
Let it hurt. Because it's going to hurt. Let it hurt.
I would say, since we talking about strings and the analogy that you use with, it's going to pop you when you detach the string. The biggest thing I got from that is the bounce back will be worth the breakthrough. The bounce back will be worth the breakthrough. I believe and I know that because of how I'm handling my dating life and relationships, and I'm giving that to God, the next time will be my last time.
Yeah.
And I stand on that.
And dare we even say the bounce back will be far greater than the breakdown. Yeah.
It's not worth holding on to that time.
That was good. We only hit half of the definition.
We only hit half of the definition.
We really only hit like 1 point. That's a deep
Rome
one.
wasn't built in a day.
That's a deep one.
But biggest thing, soul tie ain't worth it. A song Young C said in his song Soul Ties, the soul, if you don't break the soul tie, it's gonna make your soul die. Can't do it.
A bar.
Not worth it. A bar.
Yeah.
Dropped.
It's crazy.
Well, this has been another episode of The Courthouse. Thank you for joining me. And until next time.
See you guys later.